Hello and welcome. My name is Jiří Košta and my guest for this episode of True Racing Podcast is racing driver of Andretti United Extreme E, Catie Munnings. Hi, Catie.
Hello, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
You have just returned from Saudi Arabia, where you took the second place with Timmy Hill for Andretti United team. How do you feel?
I feel very happy. It was a big kind of lead up to the race. We'd been having discussions with the team for almost a year, I think. So to then finally be able to drive and to meet the team and to work with the engineers and to manage to secure second place overall was really special for us. And we feel very happy about that and excited for the rest of the races this year.
I've seen your videos with Timmy and it looks like you had a lot of fun before the race.
Yeah, exactly. So I went and trained with him a bit in Sweden. So he's obviously got Hansen Motorsport rallycross team based there. So we were able to, use their gym. He had a Polaris Razor buggy that we were training on. And it was really cool to be able to spend time and get to know my teammate better. And then we have obviously our friendship as well going into the season, which will be really important when we're working so closely together.
I'm wondering why has been Kevin Hansen there as well, but now I know the reason why. And so, as I told you, finished on the second place with your teammate, and probably the most important or the best moment I would say was your puncture during the qualifying, because I look at it with my mouth open. So, how was it? I was absolutely shocked how you could race with that.
Yeah, I think for me, coming from my rally background, it's I wouldn't say normal, but it's something that we definitely do quite a lot. Because obviously if we've got like a 10-kilometer stage and we puncture 8 kilometers in and we still have 2 kilometers to drive, you have to work with your co-driver and figure out if you'll actually lose more time by stopping to change the puncture, which will take a couple of minutes, compared to how many seconds you drop if you just drive with the wheel as it is. And so it's definitely something that I have experience in. I've driven out of stages many times with punctures. And so to me, there wasn't really ever a question as to whether we would stop. I know obviously if you're coming from like a racing background, you obviously don't do that with single seaters, so single seater cars, you wouldn't see that in F1. And I think for me, it wasn't that different. Obviously it wasn't ideal because every qualifying second counted towards the points as to who would enter into the final and the semi-finals. So I was just upset. I didn't want to lose too much time with the car like that. So we tried to keep pushing on a bit and managed to only lose about 45 seconds, I think. So that was important for us. It worked in the end and we managed to make the final, which was it was very cool to see.
45 seconds and you drove almost the whole lap, I think, with the puncture.
Well, Timmy actually picked up the... Yeah, so Timmy, the puncture happened somewhere on the end of Timmy's lap. And when he came in, because we were doing the driver change, we didn't see that we had a flat tire. But the other garages saw on the picture, on the video, because it was a live feed to the garages, they saw that the tire was flat. And as I drove away, the team said that they thought they heard a puncture, the sound of the kind of mud guard or something like that. And so we figured out afterwards that it had been a puncture for the whole lap, and also probably the last couple of corners of Timmy's lap as well. But then the tyre blew off the rim about halfway around, and that's when it caused some big problems.
Crazy. I still can't believe it. You finished. So.
Oh, thank you.
But it was great for your race as well because you finished P2 thanks to good quality. However, let's talk about your beginnings, because as I found, you started at age 13, like something like professional. And what brought you to motorsport?
My dad was involved in motorsport from a young age, and so sorry, my dad was a rally driver and then a instructor, so I was involved in motorsport from a young age, and so when I was growing up, he had a motorsport entertainment company, so I would go out in the quad bikes with the instructors after school, and I would drive Honda Pilots and old cars around the fields, but it was only ever a hobby, so I wasn't doing karting at 7 years old and competing in the world championships. It really wasn't like that. I started off as a hobby, and then I started grass auto testing when I was 14. And so from that, I think I just really enjoyed what I was doing. And I'm naturally a really competitive person anyway. And then I had the opportunity to test with Peugeot in a rally car, which was in Rally Mont Blanc, so literally off the side of the steep mountain. And I was driving the R2, which is the car that is the junior car in the European Championship and the World Championship. So it was no mean feat. It was quite a challenge, and there were some really competitive drivers there as well. Craig Breen was there, and Charles Martin and Chris Ingram, a lot of top drivers in rally nowadays. So I was really excited about it. But to be honest with you, I didn't really know. I was quite naive to the sport, so I didn't really know how big the opportunity was. But made the most of it, and I love working with the team there, and they were looking for a kind of young up and coming driver that didn't really have any bad habits. And obviously being a girl, there wasn't many women involved in rally at the time, so it was really promising for them as well to have more women coming into the sport. So I got involved and went into the European Championship the following year, which was from nothing to straight into the European end of things. So it was quite a tough experience, but I learned very quickly, and that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to compare myself to the best in the world, so that then I was learning very quickly, and that I would I would kind of speed up the rate of learning, because obviously there's lots of different terrains, different surfaces, and lots of places where you can get much more experience than from doing a national championship. So I decided that was the way to go. And then I moved into the World Championship last year before coronavirus kind of cancelled plans on the rally side. And then that was the time when I had the breathing space and started speaking to Extreme E.
In ERC, you won the ladies' trophy, so that wasn't too bad for you in 2016.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to compete against the men, so I never focused on the ladies. It was obviously it's nice to have a trophy that gives recognition to girls and encourages them into the sport, but I'd always wanted to be against the fastest driver, whether that's a male or a female. That's who I was trying to reach in terms of my performance. So to me, I think I was more proud when I came fourth overall in the two-wheel drive category, which was basically the junior category, which is kind of the best drivers that are now in the World Championship at the highest level have started there as well. So they're very fast. The category is competitive, and so that was probably more. I was more proud of that moment than I was when I won the ladies' trophy, just because the level of competition was so much higher.
So you can consider it as your greatest success in your career, or not?
Yeah, I think that one was just because it was on, it was me against the boys, and it wasn't a trophy just for being a girl. I think probably now my greatest success was the second place in Saudi Arabia, obviously against some motorsport legends. And so, yeah, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to have been able to have that success with Timmy and share that. And obviously he did amazing starts in the final and the semi-final. So he made my job a lot easier, because at the end of the day, for whoever was running second, it was just about bringing it home. The positions were already kind of decided in the first race. So, yeah, I mean, credits to him. He's an awesome guy and an awesome driver.
And you've been thinking about the circuit racing as well, or you've been always the rally driver? I've always been rally, never anything else. I think I love the challenges that rally gives, the changing conditions, the uncertainty, the spontaneous nature that you need to succeed and to be fast. That to me is really powerful. So that's what I really enjoy with rally. I guess track racing is just a completely different sport. It's obviously you've got the same vehicle, you've still got a car, but very different principles. It's all down to the fine tuning and the engineering and working on strategy. And whereas rally, you're a little bit more on your own, and you're kind of left to figure out the problems by yourself in the car. You don't have the communications with the engineer or the team, or you don't have team instructions like that. It's you in the car and the co-driver. So I think Extreme E is probably somewhere in the middle of both of them. Good, healthy balance of both. Cool. And how is it for you? You can't hear the engine noises in your Extreme E car Odyssey.
Yeah, I haven't noticed a difference, to be honest with you. Everybody said, oh yeah, it's electric, it will have no sound, but I think the raw racing is still there. And I've seen so many positive comments from the first race from the fans. Not one of them has mentioned the fact that the sound was missing or that it was electric racing. I think people are still massively excited to see the coverage and the close battles and the drama that we had as well from the weekend. And I think the fact that, you know, there's so much potential with the electric technology now, it really is, that's the focus here. And it's exciting that we can create so much power out of these vehicles and that they can travel and they can do the things that they can do. That's what we're focusing on. And I think from a driving side, yeah, it's just it's nice not to absolutely stink of petrol when you leave the track at the end of the day too. That's one of the bonuses.
Absolutely. I know the Extreme E has very specific places for racing, but when you've been in ERC, you raced in Barum Rally Zlín, which is in Czech Republic, and our True Racing website or podcast, whatever, is from Czech Republic. Will Czech fans ever see you again there or not?
Oh, I'd love to. I absolutely loved. I think I must have done it 2 or maybe 3 times now. The Barum Rally. Yeah, it's so challenging. I remember it being some of the craziest stages ever. The bumpy, narrow lanes and broken tarmac, and yeah, it's true rally conditions. And the atmosphere was amazing. I remember the fans absolutely love rally. There was always such an amazing atmosphere at the podium and on the stages with the spectators. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's ever supported me in your country, because they are hardcore fans. I would love to return one day for the rally, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the rally is the most favorite motorsport in there. Not as well as circuit racing, but rally is #1 in here.
Amazing.
And you told me that maybe the world of rally, but what are your wishes for the future? Could it be WRC, or now you are focused only on Extreme E?
Yeah, I think the landscape of rally is changing so quickly. You know, there's with the electrification, there's, you know, if you asked me 2 years ago where I would be, Extreme E didn't even exist. So I think it's really hard to say where will you be, you know, in the future, because as athletes, we just don't know. We don't know which championships will be flourishing, which championships will be struggling. And so I think it's, yeah, you have to be adaptable in this industry. I think ultimately I would always just want to be competing against the best drivers in the world at that top tier, whether that's an Extreme E or WRC or whatever championship may come next. I think that's the inspiring thing, to find a championship that's aligning with your values and is doing something important for the world, as I think Extreme E is. I think it's a fantastic championship with the legacy programs that are, you know, going on for 5 years after we've left each race location. I think we need to say more things about that. I don't think people realize, you know, when I was in Saudi Arabia, we were cleaning the beach of plastics for the turtles to hatch. But actually after that, Extreme E is sponsoring a 5-year legacy program to plant trees along the coastline, to protect the hatched turtles, to regenerate that environment for them. And so that's a big program, and they're involving the world's leading scientists in that. So I think we need to say more about that, because it needs all the coverage that it can get nowadays as well, especially when you think of the environment and then the way that we're as humans are having an impact on the world. I think to bring the voice that sport has and the huge following that all of these legends like Carlos Sainz and Loeb have, and to actually bring the awareness back to what's important, and what we're focusing on, as well as the racing. Yeah, they've been very clever with it, and it's a very powerful thing to do.
Absolutely. And are you using a simulator for these Extreme E competitions or not?
No, I think they're so extreme. We could never guess. We have no idea what they're going to be like until we arrive at the track. So yeah, I don't think the technology is quite there yet to be able to simulate those environments. It's never been that useful for rally. I think with track racing it's very different, but the changing conditions that we're in rally and off-road racing, it's an unpredictable, and it would almost be quite dangerous to try and replicate it, because things change so much. If you get used to playing on a sim and then it's not like that in real life, I think there has to be an element of adaptation and instincts, I think, with off-road racing.
So for the rally, it was basically the same thing for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
as much real life seat time as we can get.
Okay. So that's everything what I wanted to ask you, because that was everything, all what I needed to know. So we are looking forward to see your next steps, Catie. And thank you once again for your time. We really appreciate it. And I really hope I will see you on my own in Czech one day.
Yes.
And good luck and bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you. And yeah, see you at the Czech Rally. I'll be back.